Hello, Internet. Welcome back to the Fast Travel Lounge. Listen to episode 63. My name is Patrick. I'm joined by Saif and Steve. Say hi, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
We are approaching the final stages.
Hold on, Patrick. I'm scared. That was a very normal intro by Steven. What's going on?
Okay, well, let's address the elephant in the room. I'm not here for a couple weeks after this, and I think Steve's trying to weasel his way into the host spot.
Look, all I'm saying is everybody gets a turn.
I don't think anyone says that. I'm pretty sure the last 62 episodes have been exactly not that.
In fact, I think the last 62 episodes was you trying to kick Patrick out so you could take it.
So Pat's usually the host. You were host one time, Seth, while I was away in the States. And
so it's Josh's turn next.
Oh, didn't he host the spoiler cast?
What spoiler cast?
We don't know.
I can't wait for this absolutely psychopathic Weekend at Bernie's style podcast hosting where we just synthesize, much like the Three Presidents AI synthesize Josh's voice just to host a podcast where we still don't let him finish and shit on him at all times.
I think he sent enough audio that I could make it work.
I was just going to mimic his voice.
Oh yeah, go on. Give us a demo.
No, you have to wait until next week.
But I'm not here then.
Yeah, well then you'll have to listen to the actual podcast, won't you then, big fella?
Yeah, probably will. Send in my feedback. No, we're approaching home stretch for the nice number. Do we have any plans for the holy episode 69?
Hold on, let me see what VNs I have on Steam.
You know what? We're not going to do that, Seth. We're not. I don't want us reading out a visual novel for episode 69.
I could just talk about Katawa Shouju.
Yeah, we know what maybe that's the tier list we do next week, big fella. We'll rank our waifus.
But there's only so many in Katawa.
That was going to be the second question of, when it was down to two people, assuming that Josh is still in his underwater clown college or whatever excuse we came up for him last time that is still canonically accurate. We need to figure out a tier list for you guys to do. It'd be real cute. It'd be like a little date.
We'll figure out something. Maybe we should do a tier list of
FTR episodes. Boom.
Rats, I was just about to fucking say it. Jesus. Let's do favorite foods or something.
Oh yeah, audio listeners will love that.
Well, it'll make them hungry if they're eating their dinner.
What do you mean? I meant that genuinely, like some Amaranth-style ASMR, you eat your favorite foods next to the mic.
Oh, no. Eating foods. You can't eat every food. What if I wanted, like, bananas in, like, the S tier, but so is chocolate? I'm not mixing them together. Fucking idiot. Chocolate and banana. What an animal.
We're going to have to rank the entire KFC menu, but before we start that, we have to eat a double down and put ourselves on a timer before our bodies shut down.
What's a double down?
It's the one that's, it's the burger, but instead of buns, it's 2 chicken patties.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I'm so angry at myself. I missed it.
It's the sandwich made of meat, but not the way you think.
Yeah. The bunwich. Hang on.
Bunwich.
That's not the word I was looking for.
Manwich.
Meatwich.
Yeah, meatwich.
Whoa, manwich on International Women's Day as well, because...
I'm not getting into that. Anyway, why don't we go into Round the Lounge for this the last of a couple weeks worth of episodes from me.
Hang on, don't we have a tech tip or something? A tech problem?
Steve, we've been through this. We haven't done that in so many episodes. You have to tell me if you have a tech issue, because otherwise this exact thing happens where I try and go around the lounge and you go, hold on, I have a tech update because I'm Steve and I didn't want to put anything in the fucking news docket before now. That's exactly what you sound like, by the way. Future Seth, make that happen.
He does have stuff in the news docket, though. It says woe long.
That's not the tech update, dumbass.
What about your tech update? You're the one with the new technology. Why am I putting on blast here? Just want to make sure you.
Yeah, you were bragging off microphone about how you're recording this episode and how great it was.
Yeah.
Well, you see, the thing is.
Oh, here we go. Oh, I know he's got to be all humble about it. Fuck. Well, you know what? I don't want to do it anymore. Shit, laptop.
It's not even being humble, Steve. It's that if I talk about how I got a new MacBook Pro with an M2 chip.
Look at this rich guy. Wow.
That Samsung will come along and break it, because that's how we've done every other tech update. And now that I've had to say that, I'm now very, very scared of Mr. Samsung himself with a hammer coming and breaking not only the laptop, but also my kneecaps for my insolence. And when he does that, you know what? I hope there's like a tear that rolls down your cheek, because I will be in a lot of pain. But it'll be even more painful to me knowing that you're the one that sold me out.
You know what? You can afford a MacBook Pro. I'm sure you'll be fine. Get some bodyguards or something.
just Elon Musk it. It'll be fine. Double down.
Always double down.
Buy a second one as a decoy.
You know what? Just buy Twitter. They buy Samsung, actually.
Oh, there we go. Now we're thinking.
Yeah.
But yes, I am recording this on my nice new MacBook. It's a computer update that's been a long time coming. The computer that I normally record on is 11 years old.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
You know what? Mine's about half that age, actually, now that I think about it. I think I got my computer in 2018.
The only thing that is more recent within it is a new SSD a newer SSD and a graphics card from 2016. But everything else is basically as I bought it back in your good old days of 2012, 2013. And boy, has it served me well. Still runs, but it's now basically a glorified neon white and Monster Hunter machine, which we'll actually get into. So as I said before, rather large for this week. Steve, take it away.
I've been spending a little bit of time on Wolong Fallen Dynasty. I don't know why I wrote final in my my notes, but it'd be like that sometime.
Hey, reading is hard. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, reading is very hard. Day one Game Pass, baby, but I've been busy and I'm a bit under the weather, so I haven't put that much time into it. But you know what? First impressions are just as important as playing the full game, some might say.
Do they?
I mean, it's true. If you have bad first impression, you're going to drop the game.
Whoa. I don't want to be an advocate for people dropping games. If you start something, young man, you got to finish it. I don't care how shit the game is. I don't care if it takes 50 hours to finish.
So, Steven, how's Chain of Memories going?
I finished Chain of Memories. It was all right.
How's Kingdom Hearts 2 going?
I finished it. We talked about this.
How's Birth by Sleep going?
I'll start. I finished it before. I just need to get back on that train.
I'm just going to keep going down the list. How's Coded going?
Just a cutscene simulator.
Actually, shit, you're right. It is a cutscene simulator in the remake.
It's a movie. I've got those sitting installed on the old Xbox. I'll get to them. Just got to finish a lot more other games.
If it was a cutscene simulator, wouldn't that make it easier to finish?
It does.
It's very boring. It is fucking very boring.
They're trying their best by adding a couple of fight scenes in there, but not enough.
It's very, very boring. But anyway, that's me. That's Wolong.
Right.
What are you up to, Pat?
Oh, just okay. No, that's fine. Steve's already taking over the role of host. That's cool. I'm
practicing.
I knew this day would come. What have I been up to? Neon White. Lots of mostly Neon White actually. Have I told you guys about Neon White? Mostly Neon White.
No, you just told us about how your impressions of Neon White was. You didn't actually talk about the game.
Yeah, well, we're going to get into that. But also went and saw Cocaine Bear, but not just like any bear on cocaine like you'd normally find living outside your house, but the movie about a particular cocaine bear. It's also known as Yogi After Dark. Anyway, that's been my week. Seth, what have you been up to?
I'm actually going to try and talk about Tales of Arise better this week, and I've also been on the Neon White train, actually finishing it this week. Finished it last night, in fact.
Yes, you have, because a lot of my day has been trying to make it back to the top of the leaderboards, and I've been...
Good luck with Marathon.
Thank you, Saif. I've been somewhat successful in a couple of them, but I'm sure we will get into that. So, why don't we get the boring shit out of the way first? Steve, whatever you wanted to talk about.
Fuck you. I knew he'd do it. I don't know why I fell for it. So Wolong Fallen Dynasty, and a big surprise to the real listeners out there, this actually came out 2 weeks ago. I know, right? Big surprise. Steven's reviewing a game that came out within the last fucking 10 years. Crazy.
I'm sorry, sir, we don't do that here. So this is a Wendy's.
So go back to the SNES.
It's actually on a modern day console, not on a retro Xbox 360 one. But no, so Wolong Fallen Dynasty is a Team Ninja game for the lovely studio that gave us Ninja Gaiden and the Neo series.
And Stranger of Paradise.
I didn't bring that up. I have not played that game. I do not want to. Nah, I'm joking, I will. But yeah, so it came out like last week before last. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
I feel like that matters to Seth, actually.
No, it doesn't.
So it came out through Game Pass, and that's how I got it day one. And it was something that I got it confused with. I think it's called Wukong or something.
Oh yeah, that Chinese one that's coming out where it's based on the Monkey King.
Yeah. And
The
especially
one that
really
looks like a fake video game because of how good it looks.
Yeah, and it's been like in development since like 2016 or 17. I got confused with that, and then I found out it wasn't, so I'm a little bit disappointed. But that is what it is. So this is essentially, when it comes down to it, this is like an action role-playing game. Have any of either of you two played the Neo series, by the way?
I played the alpha demo of the first one. I've got the collection on PS5 sitting here. I'm just
an alpha demo, fucking hell.
Yeah, it was when they first announced it, and they were like, "Here's our attempt at a Soul-style game. We'd really like feedback on how this is," and I really enjoyed it. I just need to carve out some time to play it co-op.
Demo for alphas only.
Wolong is a Sigma grind set. Definitely. So Wolong is essentially. I've only played Neo 1. Big heavy caveat, and from what I've heard online and from people talking, Neo 2 surpasses it in every way, shape, and form. It definitely sort of plays both Wolong and the Neo series. They both play sort of like they're Souls-likes. Like you can tell they got the inspiration. Like if you die, you'll have like a flag that gets left behind. And you can recover some things that you use for currency to level up. There are sort of like checkpoint areas and et cetera, et cetera. Whereas like the Neo series, I'm not sure about Neo 2, but Neo 1 was sort of like chapter based. It's like you clear a map, get a bit of story, go back to the main menu, pick the next map, et cetera, continue until you finish. Whereas Wolong is an open world, but it's not an open world in the sense of you can go anywhere or anything. There are sort of sections. There's like level 1, which covers about like 3 maps, and then level 2, which is so far I think found like 2 sort of areas in it. And I've only a heavy caveat here as well. I've only put I think 4 or 5 hours into it, so it might get a bit different to what I feel towards the end. It definitely is growing on me like a big fungus. But whereas the Souls games are a lot more slow paced, got to be a bit more methodical with your approach, Wolong encourages, and maybe because it's a Team Ninja game and Team Ninja games do that action fast pace a lot better, it encourages a lot more faster pace. And this is because instead of like a dodging and using iframes, pretty much it has a parry. The parry mechanic is the focus of the mechanic. And literally to the point, like the parry button on the Xbox controller is B. To dodge is you got to press B twice. So it's like it really wants you to parry, and it really encourages that. Which is it was really hard. I'm getting the timing down can be really hard, especially in the early stages, and with some bosses will have a tad more of a wind up than what you expect, and it is very precise. Like you've got like 0.5, 0.4 seconds of like a window, and if you get that up, you get fucked up. But the way it sort of encourages you to do this is there's a weird sort of morale type of meter, and as you put in hits and deflect or parry, you build up your soul meter, and if your soul meter is high enough, you can use like a heavy attack that does a lot of damage. And if the enemy you're versing, because they have soul meters as well, if their soul meter is in the negative, you doing a heavy soul attack will pretty much stagger them and do a bunch more damage to it. And that mechanic is pretty cool. But at the same time, it did take me quite a significant amount of time to get used to. And maybe that's just because I'm a bit of a coward and I just want to abuse the iframe. Yeah, but realistically, I'm having a good time with it. I'm not really sure. Like, I will stick with it. I will finish it. I'm just not sure because if the combat really hasn't changed in the last 5 or 6 hours. Like you do get spells, which they do call like wizard attacks, wizard spells, which is pretty weird considering it's the game set in China, and like they give everybody the voice acting gives everybody very Americanized accents, and I just
you're playing this with the English dub?
Always play with the English dub. Never play it dub.
Okay, because when I played I believe when I played the demo of this when they first released it, I went the route of putting it in the Chinese dub.
Yeah, maybe I should because it just feels like especially inauthentic.
Yeah,
like I could probably tolerate it if it was like sort of Chinese accents of varying grades. but it's literally like there's no accent whatsoever. It's like, oh, this guy just sounds American. Like he's saying it with his face and it looks fucking weird. And another thing that's really weird as well is like when it does have a very big character customizer, like to the point you can do like the length of the bangs in your hair and the blackness of your teeth. But like the default character it gives you is this blonde-haired, blue-eyed person, and it's like, what the fuck is this set in China? Like, why is that the default? And because I'm always self-insert my characters, he's sort of this blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy in like China, and he sticks out like a fucking sore thumb, and it's like, maybe I shouldn't have done this. But they do have a bunch of like other defaults and stuff you can choose. But it was just a bit.
Is it the sort of game that like you have like armor or something on that you barely see your guy's face and hair, or is it pretty obvious? Yeah. No, there is like armor and loot and all that kind of stuff. But there's like an option in settings, as all these type of games do, where it's like toggle helmet off during cutscenes. So he never has his fucking helmet. It just still looks weird. But on that armor and weapon mechanic, there is sort of a loot-based system where you pretty much randomly drops, and when enemies are defeated, they randomly drop weapons and armor. And weapons and armor will have like different scales. So there'll be like one star up to, I've only found 4 stars. I'm not sure if there are 5 stars. And that will sort of, like, for the amount of defense, let's say a chest plate will give you, it's the same from 1 to 4 stars. But a 4-star one will have like bonus effects, like maybe extra stamina regeneration or faster attacks or something. So it sort of does encourage you to put on like better armor. But I just find it a bit like overwhelming. Like within like the first like 3 levels, it's like, oh, I've got like 7 spears, and I'm like, you can sell them like when you find like the person to sell them to, but it just feels like it's overburdening you, and you've always got to every couple like 10 or 20 minutes be like, all right, cool. What have I got? What can I sell? Is there anything better? Oh no, it's nothing better. All right, cool. Let's go on. But it's maybe I just don't like it. Maybe I'm comparing this too much to the Souls games, which probably is a bit unfair because while it does take some inspirations, it does stand alone on its own to the point where it's got
a very different game feel from the Souls games. Like Souls games are a lot heavier and more rigid, while this is like very
faster paced. It's faster and it flows.
Yeah. The way I always described it when I talked about it was like it's trying to take that mantra of like flowing like a river.
Exactly. Like the enemy attacks you, you've deflected and you've counterattacked within like 1 second, whereas Souls would be like they attack, you block or you dodge, and then it's like an extra 4 or 5 seconds to wind up, get in position, and like a big sort of dance. Whereas this is probably more like a dance, whereas Soul is more of like a fucking chess pieces on a board.
Yeah.
But I am enjoying it. I'll stick with it. It's fun so far. There are a couple of like the first boss probably was I thought it was not unfairly hard. I think an unironically skill issue. Like it did take me a significant amount of time to get the timing of the deflect and then the re-hit. And I'm not sure if that's the game teaching you the deflect mechanic, and then to get that soul or morale meter or whatever, meter up or whatever I called it before. I just couldn't really tell. It did feel like a skill issue on my part, because when I beat that boss eventually, the next 2 bosses I beat after it were like significantly easier. I don't know. Seems like a skill issue and I just got better. Which is what you want in a game like this. Like there is probably a big complaint to be said if the bosses were getting harder, I was getting better, but it felt like it was unfair. It doesn't feel like it's unfair. It just feels like I am getting better. But at the same time, still early days. We'll see how we go. Maybe check in with me next week.
Well, I won't be able to, but I appreciate the idea, though. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Maybe you should listen to the episode. You know what? Let's go a Wo Long tier list next time, big fella. Steph?
I would need to play that, but I'm holding off because the game performs very badly on PC at the moment, from what I hear.
Yes, I have heard. Yeah.
So I'm waiting for a performance patch to hit before I start it up.
Works fine on Xbox, I'm telling you. Is this the power of the PC Master Race?
It is, yes, because I've heard it works okay on PS5. Like, the worst I've heard is that it'll get frame drops on boss fights sometimes, and you really don't want that happening.
No.
It'd be fucking mental. I haven't played it for that much as well. It's only been a couple of hours, but I've felt nothing. It looks pretty good. I don't think I felt it drop less than 60, but yeah, I'll report back in if I. But yeah, it's pretty shocking that it's 2023 and PC ports are coming out on day one, still really unoptimized. And it's not like PC is a niche gaming thing anymore. It's pretty fucking big, but
Right. So you just gonna leave it on that bit of a cliffhanger there?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. I'm just gonna quickly dive in, chat Cocaine Bear really quickly, and then we get into Neon White. So if I say the title Cocaine Bear,
instantly want to go see it.
Fair. How much do you think you could figure out about the movie just off the title alone? This isn't a trick question.
Probably 80% of it.
Yeah. Yeah, cool.
I'm going to be brave. I'd say 100%.
Okay. Guarantee you, not 100%.
Oh, jeez.
It's probably just the ending. Probably the start of how the bear gets the cocaine.
We need the origin story.
And then the
rest of Breaking Bad.
See, the cocaine is a metaphor. The bear just found a computer with Neon White loaded on it.
Oh, fuck off.
The Friends leaderboard was already loaded up as well.
It was a really well-optimized PC port, though.
Ooh.
Zero flaws in that one.
That's what hooked the bear in. No. So Cocaine Bear. Here's the thing. It is a film, but there are parts of it that I really liked and parts of it that I didn't really like. And I guess the attitude that you guys gave to it just then is the same attitude I had, which is that I hear that there's a movie called Cocaine Bear. I saw maybe one trailer a few months ago, and then the movie was out, and it was like, all right, it's out, let's go see it. And that was sort of all the context I had. And the slight problem with that is that they do the thing which fucking so many Hollywood films do, where it's like, this is based on a true story. And that immediately goes one of two ways. Either the movie is very incredulous and you're like, wow, I can't believe this is based on a true story. Or I don't believe that this is based on a true story because of how outlandish the film I'm watching actually is. And the issue with Cocaine Bear is that it's the second one. So I don't actually know the full historical context for Cocaine Bear. I know that there was a bear that was on cocaine, but I think in the grand scheme of things, all that happened was the bear ate cocaine and then fucking died in like a couple hours because bears should not have cocaine. But this film was born out of what if the bear didn't just immediately die and instead goes on like a murderous rampage. But the thing is, when you have based on a true story as the hook, automatically, like, I wanted it to lean into how stupid it is, but it doesn't, because it's like, no, this really happened. Trust me, bro. Trust me. Just trust me, bro. And you can't. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a little disappointing.
It's like if I guess I'll put it a different way. So one of the things that I did really like is that it did a lot of things that, let's say, Stranger Things does, where it's very time-pieced to the 80s, because that's, you know, like the height of cocaine smuggling and a bunch of other stuff. And there's a lot of that's really cool. Like the world building is sick. I obviously wasn't alive in the 80s because I'm not a fucking dinosaur, but I imagine a lot of it is relevant to the story that it was telling. But Stranger Things never says this was based on a true story. So when something fucking crazy happens, like just anything to do with Vecna in season 4, or like any of the kind of weird paranormal shit, if Stranger Things had said this is based on a true story and you saw that, you'd be like, what the fuck? No, it's not. But Cocaine Bear does something similar, where the start of it is two Nordic hikers, Swedish or Norwegian hiking tourists through the mountains, and then it almost, like, it's a very CGI'd Cocaine Bear, but it almost looks like man in a suit type CGI, which is fine. I don't have any issues with that, but it's so obviously stylized and done up that because they open with this is based on a true story, it's like one of these can't be true. Do you know what I mean? Like if they never said based on a true story, or better yet, because I've been thinking about this, if they said this is the story of what happened, like is not that Cocaine Bear is a story, they just put a little blurb. This is the like historical context for what you're about to see. This is what could have happened, or this is what was like found footage, or something that was like never released, or something that automatically takes it out of reality, but puts it into like a but what if type scenario, like a Marvel what if. You know what I mean? Like let it have the basis in reality, but then lean as far as it can into just being crazy over the top. Like there's a scene where Margot Martindale, am I saying that right? I think Margot Martindale, the one that gets memed on in BoJack Horseman, the character actress.
I haven't seen it.
I'm pretty sure it's Margot Martindale. It just doesn't. Her surname is like Margot Martindale, if that's not it. But one of the scenes is her face getting scraped off on the concrete, and it's over the top, gory and like splat stick and everything, and it's great. But is that based on true events? You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know.
My understanding from seeing all the funny memes around it, it's like, didn't the bear just sort of like eat the cocaine and die immediately? Is that like it's based on the true story, as in like a bear had cocaine this time and that was it?
I think so. There was a post kind of related. There was a post that came out like a year ago where someone went through and fact checked when Hollywood said this is based on a true story, and they found that when they say based on a true story, there's maybe 10 to 30% overlap with the actual historical events, and the rest of it they just use for context. And it's like, fine, but I wanted it to be, I wanted it to just be self-aware and be more, and instead it tried to walk this tightrope of it's based on a true event, so this like could be believable, but it's also this like weird like creature horror splatstick comedy, and it does parts of it really well, and then it just kind of falls on its face in other parts. And the other thing, overall, I did like the film. This is just like the two big complaints. One, just don't fucking bother with the historical. It's a fucking bear on cocaine. Jesus Christ, there's no historical context you need. But the other part is that it opens and Cocaine Bear attacks. You're like, yeah, okay, here we go. We're getting into it. And then for the next 20 minutes, it felt like, maybe even 30. It's like, here are these like 5 different storylines with all these characters and everything. And it's like, this is a film about a bear on cocaine, right? Like,
just show us the goddamn bear.
Kind of. Like, I was watching it with a friend, and they leaned over and they were like, why are we meeting all these people? And I sort of whispered back, probably because they're all going to die. But the thing is, it's not like the bunch of kids lost in the woods where they're all one group. This is like 5 or 6 different groups that all kind of know each other but kind of don't, and they all have friends and hopes and dreams that they all go through. And it's just like, can we just go back to the bear? Do we really lose that much if we just take out one of these storylines? It's probably fine.
No, you've got to develop the targets so that it's much more enjoyable when the bear rips their head off.
Yeah, you got to have a bond with the person before they get eaten.
If you really, really start to despise them, then it's that much more satisfying.
I mean, I guess.
What if you start to like them though, and you don't want them to die?
But okay, so
dude, it seems like this movie is like. Remember that movie that came out like 5 years ago about that killer tire that came out and killed everybody? It seems like you're describing that movie to me a little bit.
Oh shit! Yeah. I know.
Rubber or something.
Yep. I never ended up seeing it, but I know the exact film.
We saw me and a bunch of mates saw it. Rubber. It's called Rubber. It came out in 2010.
2010, 5 years ago. Holy shit!
Man, I think I saw. I will have seen. Yeah. But yeah, holy shit, it's a shit movie. But like I saw it was like 6 mates just put it on, had a couple of drinks, had one laugh, and I was like, huh. But yeah, it seems like you're describing that movie. Fair
enough. Those were the two main negatives, and I actually overall really enjoyed the film. The two positives. These aren't things that the film did well. These are just 2 moments in the film that I will just give to you out of context, and we'll go from there. So, moment 1, the bear does a line of cocaine off of someone's severed leg.
That's kind of good, actually.
That's so fucking good.
It's not. Is it?
But I feel like we've discovered the 2 types of people that'll watch this movie. There's me and Patrick that'll enjoy stupid shit like that, and then there's Steven that's like, that's a little too far, man.
No, but you see, this is the whole problem, is that if you produce a film called Cocaine Bear, and this is a scene inside that film, that makes sense. That checks out. When you say this film is based on historical events, and then you put that scene in there, you're like, fuck off.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, see, that's the differentiator. Yeah, you can't. This is based on true events. Okay, which part is true?
That there was a bear. That's about it.
The cocaine bear. That's all.
It took place on the planet Earth.
And the second one, there's a couple moments where it looks like the bear's down and out, and then there will just be cocaine nearby, and it's kind of like a request, or like perhaps like a meme remix request from me. But I really want the Popeye sound effect of, when he gets spinach and he jumps up and then both biceps go crazy. I want that sound effect. The just the ramp up. I want an edit where that's the ramp up every time the bear looks like it's out and then it gets more cocaine. Just because it's so good that this is kind of what I'm saying, that I want it to play into its stylization more. I want it to be that kind of art housey, off the fucking wall film. Because as I say, there is a scene where a bear does a line of coke off of someone's severed leg. This is not a high bar.
It shouldn't be a high bar.
Yeah, it just
seems like it seems like one of those things that's probably good to have on in the background, or good to have on after you've had a bunch of edibles you've made. And
I do not know how edibles and Cocaine Bear would go, I'll be honest.
Oh, actually, it might be the opposite. Maybe you just need cocaine for this.
Anyway,
yeah. Well, so I've been looking at the Wikipedia page for this, and it turns out there is a mockbuster film coming out in the summer of 2023, which I'm assuming it's American summer. Attack of the Meth Gator.
Hell yeah!
I need that.
We don't. We don't need
what should
this.
say based on true events.
We as a society will be better once that movie has released.
So here's the final thing. So that's basically the review of Cocaine Bear. I actually really enjoyed it. I just don't just go into it. I guess go into it with a little bit of tapered expectations. Like, it gets better as it goes because it stops trying to like instantiate a whole bunch of shit. But like the first sort of 30 minutes are really kind of like, why are we meeting you? Why do we care about your name? And then it gets better. But that's the sort of overall. Still really enjoyed it. Related.
Too much story in my Cocaine Bear.
Unironically, true. They could have summed up the whole fucking review that quickly. The other thing, and this, sorry, you go, Saif, and I got one more thing to say on this.
I was going to say, with the movie Cocaine Bear, we just asked for two things: cocaine and a bear. That's it. Anything else is fluff.
And instead it's just like, and here is this kind of subplot about this drug dealer and his relationship with his son, and you're like, where's the bear? Kill him.
Actually, no, I got a funny to make. Does anybody get banned?
There's one other thing, and this doesn't change your how you watch Cocaine Bear, but there's a film that takes place at a similar time. That is a very similar. That's a film that goes for a similar kind of thing, but actually more grounded. It's called American Made. It came out 6 or 7 years ago, I think, and it's got Tom Cruise in it. It wasn't super popular. It's kind of it's what happens when you take Wolf of Wall Street, but make it like just more kind of toned down, because it's not about just the fucking absolute crazy off the wall shit that Leo DiCaprio gets up to, but it's all about someone that was in the smuggling ring in the 80s and the kind of shit that they got up to. And that one is based on true events. And I'm not going to say that it's 100% accurate portrayal of what happened, but the broad strokes of the story did occur. And so then when you're watching the film, there is stuff that happens that is odd, and you think that's crazy, but it's not so outlandish of a bear doing a fucking line of coke off someone's severed leg that you're like, wow, I cannot believe that the 80s were a real time that people lived through. But I guess because I saw that film, I was expecting that to play into a little bit more of the context of this. It didn't, but it just reminded me how good American Made was. So I guess secondary review, go and watch American Made. I have no idea where it's streaming, but it shouldn't be too hard to find. It's a somewhat old film now, as crazy as that sounds. Anyway, Cocaine Bear chat over. Unless there's anything more from you two, otherwise move on to Neon White.
I feel it is safe to move on to Neon White.
This is you guys chat. I'll,
see you. Come back in 2 hours.
I'll do something. Doing the speed run, eh?
I mean,
the speed run's half an hour.
Which, side point, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Right. How should we do this? So I gave my thoughts about this last time, and I tried to stay away from the story and talked about what I liked of the gameplay. What are your impressions now that you have finished it?
I think I've forgotten my top 10, not my top 5 list. Actually, no, wait, it was Crisis Core, Bayonetta 3. I think Bayonetta 3 was under Crisis Core. I think this pushes Bayonetta 3 out.
Fair enough.
So it's like just as a show of like, yeah, no, I also really enjoyed this. I need to retroactively put it in my top 5 as well.
Welcome to the age of retconning top 5 lists.
Yes. We were too late to the party on this one.
We were
3 months too late. No, I really like this game. It's got a good mix of being a puzzle shooter as well as a speedrunning game. And honestly, I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much if we didn't start getting really hyper competitive in it.
I think that's really what hooked me in as well, which apologies to past me for the amount of sleep debt I had while trying to be social at work, but I think it was worthwhile. But
just in general, like the story in this game is really good. The gameplay is like really smooth and fluid and fun. Like, the way you interact with the environment and enemies and the tips that they give you, like they all have intended shortcuts that they show you in every level. Once you get to a good enough point where they show you, okay, you've done the normal routes really fast. Here's where the intentional shortcut we've put into the stages. And then like figuring that out and like trying to wrap your head around how some of them work in the later half of the game because they start getting very obtuse.
Yeah.
Then you start doing the present hunting as well if you're going for 100%. And some of those in the second half of the game get nightmarish. I think I spent more time trying to get some of the presents than I did trying to beat your times, honestly.
Okay, well, I mean, this is broadly tracking through the same kind of impressions that I left when we talked about this last week. So let's get into some specifics. So, latter half of the game, or actually all up. How much did you do everything yourself versus were there times when you actually just had to give up and look something up?
I think I had to look up 3 presents and maybe 2 ace medals.
Interesting. I didn't have to look up any ace medals, but I also wasn't trying to beat someone's times when I played through it. So were you trying to look up the ace medals to beat my times or to just get the ace medals?
No, there was somewhere I was hard stuck on a gold and I was like, even with the shortcut, I was just a little bit too short. So I just had to look up how to make my run just that 1 second better to get the ace.
Fair enough.
It was like right at the end of the game. I don't think any of them had to do with the Book of Life levels, but some of those got pretty rough as well.
I was super close to looking up a couple of the Book of Life levels. I ended up figuring this particular kind of hard to describe, but there was one where I could sort of figure out what the developer intended, and I just could not do it. and then I kind of just beat my head against the wall enough that I got close enough that I thought, okay, this is possible. It's just a skill issue. And then I eventually got through it, and that was probably the hardest one for me, and that was a Book of Life level. I guess we should put spoiler warning generically. We're going to talk spoilers and shit, but anyway, sorry, so continue.
Yeah, one of the ones that I had a tough time with was actually trying to figure out, I think it might have been the 2nd or 3rd Book of Life level, where you've actually got to like move to the side a little bit and home in onto a chest to go through a window instead of going forwards and using the card it gives you to go blow through a wall.
This sounds similar to the one that I was stuck on. Did you have to like bounce off the floor at speed to go over a wall?
Yeah, you had to bump into a chest to go over a window, and it would give you the detonator gun, like the one where you throw a grenade on the floor, and then you had to bounce off that, bounce off an enemy, and then throw that grenade onto a floor to bounce up a wall.
That's the one that I got stuck on for ages. God, that
one gave me a hard time. I didn't end up looking it up, but it took me a little bit to figure out. Something I had to realize with the Book of Life, which for people that don't know what we're talking about, the Book of Life is a weapon you get where your discard ability for the card is you just teleport to the enemy that you're aiming at, and you'll get like a hop off them.
It's kind of like it's less of a teleport. It's more like an instant grappling hook because you have the momentum.
Yeah.
Ah, cool.
In fact, we should probably talk about what the gameplay actually is, because I don't think we ever touched that.
We sort of. I just want to quickly finish on that level in particular. That when I talked about how me, normally someone who never pops off, and popping off when I figured out a couple of the ace routes or shortcut routes and things, that was when I popped off on.
Yeah, no, figuring that out. Also figuring out I think it might have been the level right after that where you got to pop off a double jump enemy, like one of the ones that give you the pistol, and then instead of using the gun, you go off to the side and then aim up the cliff to go use the Book of Life on the next one up. So you have a second double jump stored up.
Yeah. Same process. That one also popped off when I figured that one out too.
Man, those Book of Life levels get crazy when they start going, okay, start switching between the Book of Life and your backup weapon.
Yeah.
And start mix and matching them.
I guess we can talk a little. I feel like if we're already in the area where we're like talking spoilers and stuff, I feel like, Steve, you haven't played Neon White. What is your best elevator pitch of what gameplay in Neon White is? Because at its core, it's not super complicated.
Well, I've seen like a bunch of reviews for it, like video reviews as well. So it's like a card-based game where the objective is to go from point A to point B in the fastest time possible. And it's like a borderline platformer.
Basically, yes. The only caveat on that is that almost every level, except for the end Book of Life levels, you also have to kill every enemy in the area before you can finish.
Yeah, so it becomes a puzzle of how can you kill all the enemies in the quickest time possible as you're making your way to the end.
Interesting. See, do you guys feel that makes it like, could you have gone from point A to point B faster if you didn't have to worry about killing enemies?
Absolutely. You can skip over so many things if you do that.
But that's also kind of the beauty of it, because even going back through and trying to beat Saif's times, there are a few times where I remember my route when I first did it, and just going back and sort of going through fresh eyes again, it's almost kind of nice that it forces you to take out every enemy, because there are... what am I trying to say? There are I'm assuming there are variations in routes that Saif and I use across a lot of these levels where we get similar times at the end result. And I prefer that rather than here is the meta, here is the fastest route from point A to point B. And then it just becomes a battle of who can skip one frame, which is what the first level turned into between Saif and I.
Yeah.
So broadly speaking, you have the gameplay nailed. The only extra things is that when you pick up a card, every card is a gun, so it will shoot in some way, like some are pistols, some is like assault rifle, submachine gun, rocket launcher, that sort of thing. And they also have a discard ability where for each card that you pick up, if you still have ammo, you can discard it, and then it will give you a movement ability. So if you pick up a pistol, the pistol discard ability is a second jump, so you can shoot like a regular pistol, but if you run out of ammo, that's it, gone. But if you still have one bullet left on the pistol, you can discard it, and then you get a second jump. That sort of, does that make sense?
I think I'm just trying to picture it in my mind what it looks like. It just seems like how can you? Is it like a button click or a press to easily?
So
I
play
on mouse and keyboard. That's how we both played it. Left click would be shooting, and right click would be discard. So I imagine on like a controller, it'll probably be RT to shoot, maybe LT to discard, or RB to discard. One of the two.
I think it was RB discard, RT shoot. Because I use a controller, but only for the first like 5 levels, and then we got hyper competitive, and then I realized mouse and keyboard is just better than controller. But
every now and then I'd run into a level where I feel like maybe this might be better to play on controller, but
I think it's the.
But like, how would it be? Even me, as someone who is a very big console apologist, which means I have to use a controller. I don't see in a game like this how using a controller would benefit you in any. Like, you don't get the pinpoint accuracy of it.
It's just a couple of levels. I feel like not having your camera moving with your, like, sometimes I get a bit of a shaky hand while aiming. So just having
skill issue.
So skill issue.
Literally filtered by your own body.
So,
Jesus Christ.
Going for a left click or right click, if I'm like really, really doing badly on some of these Book of Life levels, my hand will like move just a little bit, and I'll miss my teleport, and that'll cost me a couple of frames. It feels like having a steadier aim on controller might help on that.
Yeah, maybe. I didn't like that. In
saying that, it is a skill issue, and when I get in the zone and I start actually just pinpointing with the mouse really accurately, then it's a whole other ball game.
Yeah. When
I stop shaking, it's over for you, hoes.
When you use, because let's look at the first level as an example. Seth and I are hyper competitive on it.
Actually, sorry.
Yeah.
The actual other thing that I thought controller might help with is movement. Analog stick movement over WADs.
No, see that's what I was going to dispute.
Okay, I want to hear you, since you have experience.
Yeah, so in the first level, where it came down to Seth and I literally beating each other by frames, when I first did it, and for most of the way that we got through the high score level, it was controller. And what I realized was that I wanted to swap to mouse and keyboard because I'm trying to think how to describe this. Where you hold the left stick for movement, if it's not 100% in the forward direction, there is a little bit of strafe applied, which slows down the amount of movement that you have going forwards.
Yeah.
And so as soon as I swapped to mouse and keyboard,
it didn't have that drift.
It saved the only a couple frames, but that's all you need. Where it's much.
Yeah, when we're getting to that point where we're literally fighting over frames.
Yeah, like you feel more accurate if you're holding W and moving and aiming with the mouse than you do kind of I almost want to call it tank controls of like left stick and right stick independently. So that's as soon as I figured out that it was more comfortable for me to just hold W for 99% of my movement, that I knew it was just mouse and keyboard from there on.
That's how you got to get those W's.
Hey, so true.
By the time we're done with this game, our W keys are going to be broken.
Let's chat. We'll pause gameplay for a brief sec and chat story, because that was the main thing that we didn't get to. I'm just conscious of time that we didn't get to last week. I don't know about the consensus, but I'm surprised how many people I see in, for example, Steam reviews that talk about how the story is shit or forgettable, and you should only play it. Like, Neon White holds up on the gameplay alone. The story is meh. I disagree. I actually quite liked the story, and I found it engaging enough that when it delivered story parcels to me, that they didn't remove me from wanting to just play the next level. Where were you on that?
Yeah, no, I'm surprised about that, because I thought that characters were really fun. The plot's a little predictable, is the word I want to use.
100%.
But that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. I really enjoyed how the story played out. I enjoyed uncovering White's past and figuring out not figuring out what happened, because the moment you get the first memory, you instantly know what happens in his past to get them all into this mess. Finding out that the other Neons have been doing this for years, and this is White's first year, even though they all died at roughly the same time, is a mystery in itself that gets solved in the story that I thought was really interesting as well. Like, why has Red been doing this for a few years? Why has Green been a champion for like so long? And this is White's first time, and also why is he the only one with amnesia?
Yeah.
All of those elements I thought were interesting. They added on top of what was already a fantastic game in gameplay alone.
Yeah.
But if this was just gameplay, it wouldn't have held my interest as much if I wasn't also invested in the story and the characters.
100%. I draw parallels between this and something like Mirror's Edge, where Mirror's Edge, it would deliver you story before, during, and after, but it meant that the levels were so long that, for example, speedrunning in air quotes because I never did, but there are some levels that I just enjoyed playing. But if you knew the story, you just had blocks that were unskippable, like every elevator sequence, where oftentimes there would be some sort of conversation or something, where I much prefer Neon White's approach of you have multiple levels, multiple shorter levels that you can run through over and over again, and most of the story is delivered at the end of the chapter rather than at the end of a given level, and I think that was the right way to do it.
Yeah, and on the longer ones that have 10 levels, they'll also get a cutscene at the halfway point after the 5th level.
Yes, yep. Moving into the end part of the story, I guess, again, spoilers, blah, blah, blah. There are multiple endings. Which one did you get?
I got the Book of Life ending.
Nice. So did I.
I felt in that moment, I felt that was the correct decision.
Yeah, I did that, and then because of my completionist self, I had done everything needed to get the Book of Life ending before even having the choice. And so I see the choice, and then I see the achievement, and it was like, oh, cool, I finished the game. Wonder what happens if I do the other one. And then me trying to decide, can I go back and just replay it, or should I just look it up online? And then every third Neon White ending post is like, how to get the Book of Life ending. And I'm thinking, interesting.
Well, someone didn't get the presents.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of, I don't know if I said before, but I absolutely looked up where a couple of the presents are. Holy shit.
Some of them are obtuse as fuck.
Yeah, a couple of them.
And the ways to get them are even worse.
Yeah, there are some levels with things like cranes on them, and usually the cranes are just images because you fall right through them. They don't have any collision. So when the developers decided on a particular level to put the present on a crane, I fucking screamed internally.
Yeah.
It's like, there's no way. There's no way it's on the crane.
I got stuck in that one for a little bit.
There's no way.
I think it was those same set of levels where one's up a really tall glass building.
Yeah.
And so you just need to stock up on 3 rockets and as much ammo as you can and just go.
Yeah.
Just hope you make it with enough rockets. Now, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
When you do the rocket jump against the wall, do you space them out or do you just hammer that in? Because when I was watching speedruns, I saw people hammering them in and I was like, oh, maybe that's faster.
Bit of both. I think I'm on. So it's this is where I straightened my tie and said, as someone who studied physics.
Oh, you fucking idiot!
No,
as someone who studied physics, bomb jumping is impossible.
Yeah. When you point a rocket at the ground and pull the trigger, you die. For me, it's sort of the momentum thing. Like if I'm launching myself up a building, then it will just be like shoot them in, basically, because that's your momentum building up. There will be a point where shooting them doesn't add to it anymore. But what was interesting is that I think rockets are one of them, but certainly the grenade jump, the assault rifle discard, that will always throw you up, even if you're under the explosion, which I'm grateful for.
Bomb jumping does the same. The rocket jumping does the same.
Yeah, exactly. I'm grateful that they designed it that way, but it took me a little while to trust that was how it worked. Because there were a few times where it was like, oh, I fucked it, I'm going to die. And then it was like, no, I can just effectively suck myself up onto a cliff via bomb jumping, which was sort of odd.
On that topic as well, any level that involves like intricate using of barrel bombs, they're fucks. You can have the times on those. I'm done with them. I just spent one too many runs on some of those levels where it's like, okay, I just need this barrel to send me straight up, and it sent me backwards at a 45-degree angle.
Yeah. So that's more the shooting them rather than running into them with the say rifle dash.
Yeah.
Question for you: do you think you have a fairly good grasp on what gives you a speed boost?
I feel like I do. I also feel like there's a couple of times I get a speed boost, and I think I know what did it, but I'm not 100% certain.
Yeah.
I think parrying bullets gives you a speed boost, but I'm not 100% certain on that.
Yes. So that's... I also need to caveat this. I'm not 100% certain either, but it took me until beating the game and going back through, and since having beaten the game, I have looked up a couple ace, like, closer to world record times, just because I see, for example, Saif has shaved multiple seconds off my time, and my time is optimized as fuck for the route the route that I'm taking. So I need other ideas. I need to figure out what I'm missing.
Hi, Marathon.
Yeah, that'll be one. That'll be one of them.
The Marathon is a fucker and a half. I'll tell you what. I saw the world record video for that, and I implemented some of its tricks. But even then, I haven't fully optimized the world record run into like my memory.
Yeah.
But big hints for that. It involves going into turrets, into some of the trap mines, and like maneuvering yourself around them so that you don't actually trigger the one pointed at it.
Oh, yeah, shit's fucked anyway. No, so I also don't have 100% grasp on what gives you speed boost, but parrying bullets and also just shooting bullets, I could never figure out what it was if I'm shooting at something, sometimes I get a speed boost, sometimes I don't. And
yeah, those enemies that always drop ammo cards, I feel like it's either when I parry their bullets or when I kill them, I get a speed boost.
I don't think it's when you kill them. I'm pretty sure it's when you interact with a bullet that the enemy fires. Like, for example, one of the levels that I just did recently, I was very inconsistent on the first stage of the level because there were 3 guys that just shoot single bullets at you. And so sometimes I'd go through there and my ghost would be ahead of me. And it's the same route, the ghost would just be ahead of me. It's like, okay, I'm fucked. I don't know what I did differently. But just through trial and error, shooting the bullets on the way past, like killing them and shooting the bullets at the same time, gives you the speed boost. So I'm pretty sure it's a combination of like parrying is also you interacting with the bullets, but just interacting with bullets fired by enemies gives you a speed boost. I'm fairly certain.
Yeah.
Why don't we jump to your favorite weapon and or favorite movement if it's not the same card?
I think it's shotgun for both.
Fair enough.
Just shotgun in general just feels really, really good to shoot. Like it just plows through enemies, or if you get a good shot, just one-shots them completely. And having a dash that you can point in any direction, and also if you just use it on the ground, acts like you're running on water. Like it's just a straight-up speed boost. It's a really fun card to use.
Yeah, that's fair. That would certainly be my second favorite. First, as I mentioned last week, the rocket launcher combined with the grappling hook, just because the whole sequence of levels. So I almost feel like I need to contextualize this answer beyond the fact that they give you a rocket launcher combined with a grappling hook, which on its own should be enough. I understand that. But in Mirror's Edge Catalyst, which I really enjoyed parts of, but it's a shame that the game had problems. There's one particular...
Good game. First one's way better.
It is. That's
there. I said it.
That's basically some of the
Catalyst,
problems.
but the first game is a great one.
One of the best environments in Catalyst is this really cool rooftop, neoned up, very kind of like it's not like a nightlife vibe where everything's just like neon and everything, but it's a really cool, distinctive color palette, a really nice looking, I almost want to call it biome for that part of the world. And so when I load into the chapter in neon white and they give you a rocket launcher combined with a grappling hook, and that's the typical color palette of the level that they're working with, it was like, oh yes, this is 100%. Like I'm in. I'm home.
Yeah, no, I agree. That was a very great set of levels as well.
A couple final things that I want to talk about. I don't want this to just be about me. It's more just getting your thoughts on a couple distinct things. The final thing is I am surprised at how well they did boss fights in a game like Neon White. What are your thoughts?
Yes, the boss fights are actually really well done, and I didn't know, but you can optimize them to finish them early. I need to start getting that implemented into my times.
Yes, you can. You actually get achievements for doing that. I actually kind of thought at the first boss fight that would be towards the end of the game, rather than it being a third to halfway through the game. So, pleasantly surprised, 100%. But, yeah, I was nervous when the game was like, hey, boss fight time, and I was thinking, oh, how's this going to work? But it doesn't feel that obtuse. It felt a little bit obtuse on the final boss fight, just because there's movement. Like, so much of what Neon White does well is like Mirror's Edge, where it can choreograph where you should go through the use of distinct colors and styles. And the problem is, in a couple of the boss fights, it's not clear where that is, because if you lose track of where the boss is, at times there aren't easy paths to get you back on track to finding the boss again. And so that caught me out a couple times. But overall,
I feel the last one was the best, not best overall, but like one of the easier ones to go through, because so many of its phases are using the Book of Life. So if you lose track of it, you can just kind of mouse around and then teleport back where you need to go.
Yeah.
It's the second boss. I feel like if you miss a thing, then you're kind of screwed. But at the same time, I also think the second boss is the best one.
True on both counts. That was basically all the thoughts that I wanted to get from you. What else did you want to hit while we have this time? Being mindful that we have been talking about this for a bit.
Two small things. First one, how long did it take you to realize that ProZD was in this game? Because it took me until the credits.
That's right, he is in this game. I completely forgot about that. You don't know who he is, do you?
Today, yes. Of course I know who ProZD is. Were you here for the Ragnarok chat? Yeah, I thought so.
ProZD, yeah.
I didn't realize he was in this game at all. That's terrible.
He is Mikey.
No fucking... God damn it.
This is the second time this has happened on the podcast too.
You know what's gonna suck? I'm gonna get a phone call from my dad, and it's gonna be this regular conversation, and then my dad's just gonna change into I actually don't know his actual name, but like ProZD's voice, and I'm gonna go, have I been talking to my dad or him the whole time? Like his voice is just going to randomly start appearing in places in my life, and I just will not see it coming. But at the same time, I'm 100% here for it. Holy shit.
Yeah, and also just on Mikey, I fucking love that dude so much. He's such a good character.
I think you can say that about almost all the Neon White characters. They're written very well.
They are. I feel a little bad for Neon Yellow because it hit me yesterday when I was looking for art for the game, like official cover art. I realized, Neon Yellow isn't on any of the official artwork banners.
Yeah.
He also dies at like chapter 3.
Yeah. Oh, spoiler it.
I might be putting that a little too early.
No, it's fine.
But he goes pretty early, and then it's like, oh, it's so early that he's not even on any official stuff. That's kind of sad for him because he's not a great character, but he's pretty fun to have around when he's there.
I just really enjoyed the vibe.
Yeah, no, he's got great vibes.
Yeah.
You want a friend like Neon Yellow.
He was just there hanging out.
He just wanted to have beers.
It's so true. And now he's having beers with the big guy in the sky.
And just in general, how good of a character is White? Like, I love him as a main character. I love how pathetic he is. Steve Bloom does such a fantastic job voicing him. When he needs to sound pathetic, he sounds really fucking pathetic.
And so I agreed, but also need to special mention the game isn't afraid to just write, I almost want to call it cringe dialogue, but it's almost self-aware cringe dialogue of like how many other games where...
Like Violet saying that White looks like the type of dude that would catch a girl spit in his mouth. Yes, or the you're laughing. I don't remember what the intermediate statement is, and you're laughing. There's just like a whole bunch of it's almost like internet culture just sprinkled through the writing of this game, which I really appreciate. Yeah, it is. Violet kind of encompasses that entire culture, honestly. She's made for that crowd.
Yeah. Anything else you want to touch up or
No, that's about it for me. I really enjoyed this game. It was a highlight of mine for games that came out last year. Let's say.
I don't remember what I gave it as a score out of 10 last week if I did give it 1, but what would you give it, Saif?
I'm going to give it a 10. I'll be brave.
How's that brave?
Because I know you'll have problems with it.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
There's no such thing as a better game.
There's no better game.
Yeah. Nailed it.
Oh no, I've set him off.
Got him exactly where I want him. Yeah, I don't know. Like something like me saying the boss fight is a little obtuse because there's no obvious direction as to where the character's supposed to go. Does that mean that the game cannot be perfect? I don't know, but it's at least a 9.5 for me. It's a very, very well done game. But that is Neon White. Thoroughly recommended. Made it into half of the top 5s of Fast Travel Lounge. That's a weird stat.
2/3 even.
Right, okay. I mean, I was giving Josh the benefit of the doubt of still treating him like a person, but now we can just drop that. That's fine.
2/3 spoken on Pod 10.
He'd probably like this game.
Well, I mean, he has it, and he's played parts of it, but then he saw Saif and I, and he was like, you know what? Maybe I don't finish this one.
There's two types of people on my friends list. There's Patrick, who's played Neon White recently for 43.9 hours, and then there's Josh, who's played it for 1 minute recently.
That's right. Oh,
he literally loaded it up on his Steam Deck, went not today, and then closed it.
Oh man, and you know what? That's still one of the better takes he's had.
You look, with addiction, you got to really call it early.
It is. How did you put it? How did you put it, Saif? It's Neon White is like crack, but coming from someone who's never smoked crack.
I also wrote something else. Let me double check if I put it on the docket. It's like crack, but worse because I can have it.
Christ!
Hey, don't let your dreams be dreams. If you want crack, you can get crack.
I gotta go. My bum's got a crack.
Do you think we could ask Mikey to trade Neon Yellow with Steve?
I don't know. I feel like Yellow's in a better place now. I don't want Steven ruining that.
It's true. Anyway.
Steven gets written in the Book of Death.
The Book of Catchphrases.
Oh, we're onto something here.
Anyway.
But yeah, that's enough. That's enough Neon White. We spoke for too long.
It is. Of course, I say that, and I know that Saif and I will both be back on later, swapping times. Of course, he has the next couple weeks to beat every time of mine while I'm away. But before he gets to that, he has to tell us about Tales of Arise.
Right. So I had to cut this last week because I wasn't happy with how it turned out. I blabbed way too long, like I am right now.
Very common.
Very common, Saif L. Anyway, so Tales of Arise is an RPG that came out and won RPG of the Year in 2021. So it's only natural I get to it 2 years late.
Of course.
I really enjoyed it. It was a fun game. Combat's a little simple. They kind of do a rock, paper, scissors mechanic in it, where you do your best against enemies when you get them into a staggered state, and every single one of the party members that you have kind of has an answer for specific enemies to put them into that stagger state. So the main character can just kind of use his special ability right off the bat, and they'll just down enemies. If you got flying enemies, then you'll use your gunner Shion to shoot them out of the air, and that'll down them as well. And yeah, just it's kind of simple in that way of once you know what enemies need what characters to go against them, it kind of folds into itself, but it's all still really fun to play. And you've always got access to all your party members in battle at once, so you're never out of any of your options. But the reason I jump into that is because I feel like there's not a lot to say about the gameplay. It's a very, very simple battle mechanic that's, for better or worse, it's really fun and it grows through progression of getting more characters and more special moves, but it doesn't get any more complex as you're getting those tools. It's just adding more layers on top of what's already a very simple combat system.
Right. Yeah.
But to touch on the story a little bit, so you play this game as an amnesic character named Alphen. He's living in this fire nation that's being run by it's pretty much running on slave labor. Everyone that's living in that area that's like a local. A local is they toil away and they're mining, and by doing that they're releasing energy that's being collected by all the people that kind of rule their nation. And just one day, by happenstance, a princessy type of character that's stolen the main big key for the Fire Nation. She's getting captured, and she's being taken through where Alphen is, and her train basically comes apart, and a resistance group is attacking the train, making sure getting through all of the upper class. And that's Alphen's been really big on wanting to join a revolution, live better than how he currently is. And that's when he comes across Xion, this princess character, and they kind of like team up. She needs his help, he needs her help, and they go on this quest to take down all of the lords across the continent. So Xion is this character that she's like very sheltered and closed off because she's been cursed where if anyone touches her, they get electrified. She's got these like thorns coming out of her body that attack anyone that tries to get close to her. But Alphen's also this character that doesn't feel pain. So he can touch her no problem. And that like shocks her so much.
Which is funny because she is the one that electrifies other people.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. Yeah.
Seems like it's a weird kink thing that she's got going on, but like he nullifies. Is that what it is? What's this game rated?
I don't know actually. I think it's I think it's
Triple R. What the fuck, man?
Triple X. Oh boy.
No, I said Triple R.
Visual novel After Dark special.
Ooh.
Katawa Shouju, get out of here.
Get out of here.
But yeah, this key that she's stolen as well is housing all of the energy that all of the locals have been releasing, and from within it she can release this thing called the Blazing Sword, but it's too hot to touch for anyone. It actually like burns their skin off as they're using it, but good old Alphen here doesn't feel pain, so he's the one that's going to use it throughout the game. And so because of this, it's like this is a really powerful weapon that can overturn all of the lords across Dana, this planet that this game's taking place on. And because she can't wield it, but Alphen can, they kind of make this truce to go take down all the lords, and hopefully through doing that, he'll get his memory back and she'll be able to release herself from this curse of these thorns. And that's kind of the main setup for the game. You do go along, you go defeat all these lords. As you're going through, you build up your party, and in traditional JRPG storyline tropes, when you get all the MacGuffins together and hit your main first goal, a massive twist happens that upends the entire story and puts you into like the back half of the game where all of the world history, character history, and a lot of plot details start coming more and more towards into the light and expanding on everything that the first half of the game set up.
Could you imagine like the JRPG that goes, all right, and now it's time for the twist, and the game director's like, you know what, the twist is that there is no twist, and the game just ends.
Yeah, the adventure was the friends we made along the way.
Oh, you got the MacGuffin? Oh, yeah. Sick. Here's the credits.
No, that is some of the that is some JRPG. They are the friends you make along the way. It's just to get there, you got to fight God. Very, very common.
Common God-killing dub.
Common JRPGW.
It is a common JRPGW. I love it when the games let me kill God.
Fuck you. Let me just fight a normal person. Let me just...
Where's youngster Joey? Take me to youngster Joey.
I got good news for you. This game ends on fighting just a normal person.
Oh.
What do they do to deserve it?
Wait, are you God at that point?
No, you're not.
Oh, okay.
Kind of. You're both kind of God in a sense.
This is like shared custody type thing.
No, it's like it's the God on the inside.
No. You're God on the weekends and birthdays.
So what happens is when you reach the final MacGuffin, you come across this guy that he calls himself the Sovereign, and he's got these special powers, and he's like the hardest guy that you fight up to this point for a reason.
Mass Effect 1, is that you?
Yeah, it sounds like. And
after collecting all the MacGuffins, after beating him down and taking his, it's supposed to crown a new sovereign, and that's where a ceremony takes place, and whoever is crowned, the crown festival winner is what they call it for this game. It's what there's like a competition going between the 5 realms, and whichever lord has collected the most energy from their subjects, they get crowned sovereign of the world, and they get to go up to their home planet. Just kind of like Poochie, where they just kind of get lifted off screen and go to their home planet that's floating above the planet of Renner. Like, this is like a twin planet system.
Give them the Poochie treatment.
That's sad. Shouldn't be happening in this day and age.
But yeah, in the second half of the game, you realize, everything that the first half of the game has been setting up is either a blatant lie or miscommunication or a twist waiting to happen. And I don't mind it, but it did get to a point where it felt like every hour it was just, we're going to do another twist and another twist and another twist, and all of them were set up. It just kind of got a bit tiring by the time I hit the end of the game.
Yeah, you get to the end and you just all twist it up, and it's like, you know what? I don't know.
Yeah. Spoiler since I mentioned it. The ending of the game is that after you take down what's essentially a godlike being, you end the game on Alphen as a sovereign fighting the sovereign from the middle of the game, because he's essentially become a rival character that you need to defeat.
Nice. Please tell me there's like a thing where he says, assuming direct control.
I don't know what that meant to be
Mass
a reference
Effect 1.
to.
Mass Effect, come on. Ah, fucks.
I
No, it's
haven't
actually
played
Mass Effect 2. Come on, no. Assuming direct control is a reference to Mass Effect 2. You're a fake fan. I knew it. I knew I'd fucking get you, Pat. I knew I'd get you.
Saif, can we just pause for a sec while I hand in my Mass Effect fan card to Steve, or should we do that? Should we do that later?
We'll do that later. That's why you're going on sabbatical.
Yeah.
Let you enjoy it for a little bit longer.
You're handing the M-Pass.
They're nice, buddy.
But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this game. I can see why it won RPG of the Year, because it's fun. The first half of the game is very straightforward, and all the characters are great. You get a lot of interactions between the characters, because as you're traveling, you'll unlock these things called skits, where as you're playing, you just get to a certain area and it's like, hey, hit the R1 button and you'll get like an interaction between certain characters. And all of those are played out really nicely. It builds up the party a lot better, gives each character more depth to their characters than they would normally get. And it gets a little cowardly with its slave and oppressor storyline. Like, as you're going through the nations, the first two are very much, oh, look at these guys oppressing all the people of this planet. They're the worst. We need to rise up against them, form resistance groups, take them out of power. Then you get to the third nation, and it's like, actually, here's a society where everyone's living out equally, and everything's fine and dandy. And then you get to the fourth nation, and it's like, actually, the resistance overthrew the leading government here, and they're just as bad, if not worse. And it's like, oh, okay, we're getting a little cowardly with this messaging. Maybe tone it down a bit.
And that's when they double down and go, no, you know what? People that get enslaved deserve it. And you're like, oh boy.
That's all, folks.
And it comes to a culmination of big spoilers here. It didn't matter at all because everyone's actually the same race.
Oh, the human race. Fade to black. Man with...
And then you hear "Feed the World" or whatever playing in the background. Slowly fades to black. Everyone starts clapping. Kumbaya.
How can I be racist? We're all humans. There's only one race. Am I in trouble?
The race to $1 million, and I'm gonna win.
That's basically how the game starts going in a direction of it. It starts going to the direction of, well, our home world is fucked. We can't keep living there. So let's just integrate everyone into Dana, the main planet the game takes place on. Bring all the oppressors down here and just try to make civilization work out happily between everyone.
This is when the narrator jumps in with, it does not work out happily between everyone.
A lot of repressed anger.
I believe it starts to work out because the guy that's leading the Renans, the slave drivers of this world, he's the one that he's the one from the third nation where everyone's living equally, and he's kind of taking over as a new king once the story wraps up. So, best bet is that it'll be fine. I don't think we'll get a sequel. I think the Tales games move on to new worlds and new stories. So,
well, I mean, yeah, you've already mentioned that there's the Fire Nation, so I can only assume that the other four are the Air Nation, the Water Nation, and the Earth Nation. And in which case there would be a sequel. It would be The Legend of Korra.
Oh, yeah, it's always a good one. Always a good one.
You're not wrong. Some people may argue that it's better. I wouldn't know. I haven't watched either.
Wait, what do you...
Go watch them. It's actually pretty good.
What do you mean you haven't watched either?
I haven't watched either Avatar Last Airbender or Legend of Korra. We've had this conversation before.
And we will have it again.
I think
until I watch them both.
My mind just refuses to process that this is a reality that you can exist in.
It's one of those things where it's on the backlog, and maybe in 5 years I'll be in the mood to marathon it.
5 years? Just watch one episode a day, man.
You say that about... I say that to myself about reading a One Piece chapter, and it still hasn't happened.
One Piece is actually good, but...
Just one Piece chapter a day, and I'll be done eventually.
No, that'll take you like 1,000 days. Don't do it like that. And some of the chapters like, nothing happened. Anyway,
at some point you hit them and they're 15 pages, so it's like I can shove a bunch down my gullet.
I just can't believe that a man who plays Dragon Ball Z The Breakers hasn't seen Avatar The Last Airbender.
Whoa, let's not spoil content yet. As far as the audience is aware, I still haven't played it.
Man, you paid full price for it.
I paid $20 for it.
That's $20 more than what you should have paid.
And I played it for 3 hours.
And you know what gives you 3 hours of content that's better than that?
Fast Travel Lounge.
Okay, you know what else?
Hey,
Avatar The Last Airbender.
Is it only 3 hours?
No, but it gives you at least 3 hours. It gives you even more than 3 hours.
You know what? You're slowly convincing me.
Literally no downside.
Wrap us up.
Go watch a Saiyan Saga instead.
Wrap us up. Out of 10.
8, I want to say. Yeah, I think 8 out of 10 sounds good.
You think it sounds good? It's your bet. Okay.
It's a lot of contending with that second half twist and twisting and me getting a little tired of it. But no, I think overall it's very solid. 8 out of 10 sounds right. It's a fun game to play. That first half is fantastic. I really like the characters.
It's like that Rick and Morty episode where the entire thing is just them plot twisting each other.
That's a shit episode.
I actually really enjoyed that episode. Fuck you.
Oh, for fuck's sake. The duality of man.
L take.
Take us out, Patrick.
All right, I'll start with Steve.
No.
Right. Well, yeah, I guess that brings us to the end of Round the Lounge. Thank you to you both. As per every week. Good fucking luck with Steve, Saif. That's all I'll say. We get to move on to part 2 for this week, which is of course the news. Kicking off the news, really should have had the first article up on screen. That was a fucking fall on my face moment. All right.
Don't worry, I do it all the time.
Speaking of fall on face moments.
Hey.
Boom. Segue. Squeenix, what have you done? What have you done? We
Something
have
good.
Well, I mean, yeah, after the continual shit heap that they continue thinking is good business decision. But we have a replacement for outgoing President Yusuke Matsuda after the raging success of Forspoken. Oh, no, fuck, that's being folded in. Fuck, you know what, Seth, you take this one.
No, you were on the right track because Matsuda said that Forspoken was his pet project. So, you know, seeing how successful that turned out, it only makes sense that he's being replaced.
Seeing how successful it was, it only makes sense he gets promoted to customer where he can now play it.
Promoted to customer.
Without all the stresses of things like having to work.
Hey, he can enjoy the fruits of his labor.
Enjoy is the word that I have the biggest issue with.
You can think... Yeah, anyway.
There's not a lot known about Takashi Kiryu, the guy that's replacing him. He's kind of been at like a bunch of holding companies before he was at Square Enix. So he's kind of like a money mover sort of guy.
He'll fit in really well. He'll take all the money Square Enix has and move it out the door.
Hopefully he's going to do the opposite and take all the money from the dear valued customers and put them inside Square Enix instead.
Scoreboard.
Not a lot known about him. It doesn't even look like he's had any involvement in the game's development scene at all. He's just kind of a business guy.
Well, so it seems like you want a business person in at this point of view. Like
it depends, because Iwata did really good as the president of Nintendo, and he was a programmer. He had a lot of background and actually hands-on experience with games.
Reggie was a good CEO as well, and he was literally an advertising man.
Yeah, that's also true. He worked at Pizza Hut before he worked at
I've read his book.
Nintendo.
It's good. He worked as Pizza Hut as like the head of sales. He didn't work at Pizza Hut as a delivery boy.
No. I know there's a world of difference between those two statements, but I mean Pizza Hut, the company, before Nintendo. And even then, that's still a huge jump.
Yeah. Was it Pizza Hut or was it Papa John's? Maybe you worked at both. But yeah, I highly recommend it. As a side note, I think I've shielded before, I'll shield it again. But Reggie's book, In the Game, fantastic. But yeah, so refresh my mind, Seth. What upcoming games or game does Square Enix have coming up for the rest of this year? Like
Balan's Wonderworld 2, baby.
Ooh, finally a good game.
As far as I know, it might just be Final Fantasy 16.
So are we in a universe where if Final Fantasy 16 is bad, Square Enix goes the way of, I don't know, what other game studios have fallen apart that haven't been eaten up?
Every acquisition by EA except DICE and Criterion.
Maxis Studios.
They still have more games in development past that, and I'll say it once, I'll always say it again. Final Fantasy 14 always bails Square Enix out financially.
Oh, true. You're right. That fucking Prince. Maybe that's why they can release so many experimental shit games.
They released like 37 games last year.
I love the idea of Square Enix just using Final Fantasy 14 to just print money and then
they don't put the money back into 14. They put it into other other business ventures.
And then they just basically set it on fire and then write it off and then use it as a tax write-off.
Yeah, and you also got to remember that Square Enix is more than just a video game company. They also do anime, manga. I think they might even do music.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Let's be real. After what is Forspoken and Balan's Wonderworld and every other absolute steaming shit pile, can we really say they do games?
They do Babylon's Fall. Remember that hit game?
Now, let's be fair. That one was platinum.
Oh, true. Wasn't it published by Square?
It was, but as far as I know, the only thing Square Enix did for that game was greenlight it.
That's probably even worse.
And even that was the mistake.
They greenlighted the worst game of last year that I don't know.
From what I understand, a lot of the games that Square Enix publishes but doesn't develop themselves, they literally just greenlight it, go hands off and let the development studio come in, and then they come and check in on what's going on like a couple of months before it's meant to ship.
After it's too late.
That's what happened with Balan's Wonderworld. They're like, oh fuck, this is on fire. Fire Yuji Naka and release the game on time.
To be honest, in terms of like as a business, I don't know about being a sound strategy, but I much prefer that of we just do the publishing, we'll let the developers make the best decisions for their game, than EA's one of like, hey, you've made a pretty good game. Can we put microtransactions in it though? Like real quick.
Yeah, and there's no multiplayer in this single player only series. We'll take your budget for single player. Yeah. Oh fucking hell!
Do you know what? I mentioned him. I have to bring up this thing I forgot to put on a news article. Yuji Naka has admitted guilt over insider trading at Square Enix. So he's gone to court and he said, yeah, I did that. Can I go home now?
Well, don't forget, Japan is notorious for having like what a 99% conviction rate. It's like they don't press charges like this unless he was definitely going to jail. Look, sorry, Yuji Naka, but your game design
was 30 years ago.
Yeah, I'm sure Japanese jail is different to American or Australian jail, but interesting. I honestly have the opinion that Square Enix is very close to being acquired by Sony.
To being Circle Enix.
Oh, you might be onto something.
I think Sony does have shares in Square Enix as it stands.
Wouldn't surprise me.
It's like a very, very minor stake, but they do have shares in the company.
Well, it just seems like all Square games get released to, like Final Fantasy 14, Final Fantasy 16.
You know the one that
Kingdom Hearts game started on PlayStation. Let's not forget about those.
There were a few that were Nintendo exclusive for a little bit before the collections.
Dragon Quest.
Also, primarily Nintendo.
Really? I don't know. Dragon Quest doesn't really exist for me.
Also, the fun one to me is Octopath Traveler 1 is only not on PlayStation, but Octopath Traveler 2 is only not on Xbox.
Fucking scam.
There we go. Octopath Traveler 3 only not on Nintendo Switch. You had it here first. Anyway, I think we can move on. I'm sure we're going to end up dunking on Square Enix again soon enough. I mean, I know that we're going to talk about it again like now, but I mean like in general. But speaking of dunking on Square Enix,
serving yourself that slam dunk, I see.
Yeah. Hey, check it out. Patrick's tier 3 o'clock dunk. We have a nice article talking about how Forspoken sales have been lackluster. Just puts it mildly. I don't know that there's a huge amount more that we want to flesh out.
There's a line from this I want to highlight, but I can't find it.
So essentially, to give while Saif blunders around and we just don't sit here in silence. Back onto Square Enix bullshit. They released their outliner results. Or they had a meeting or something, and they pretty much said, "Yeah, Forspoken didn't really sell as much as we want." And a bunch of our other small and mid-sized titles did not perform as well as we had expected. Which pretty much says, yeah, we released a bunch of games, none of them did what we wanted.
It happens when you release 37 games in 1 year.
Yeah, but don't forget they did Harvestella, Tactics Ogre Reborn, which I've heard is a very good game, it just probably didn't sell. Dragon Quest Treasures, Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. They don't say specifically exactly which games didn't sell well. Well, they do specifically say Forspoken didn't sell well.
But they also just mention a bunch of their smaller to mid-sized games. And this article is just like going, so here's a list of all the games they released in like the back half of the year.
Yeah, which is very interesting. I'm always very curious to look at this kind of stuff because it's a lot of inside the sausage factory that you never really see.
And this year they've already released Forspoken, Theatrhythm, Final Fantasy. They might have something coming this month, I'm not sure. The point is that Square Enix releases a lot of games. Yeah. And a lot of people are like, well, we'll market them better, but I also feel like it's a point of they kind of devour themselves. Like they keep tripping over themselves in release. I feel like that last 4 months, they were releasing a new game every 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, and also releasing them at full price. I don't think a lot of Square Enix fans are going to be keeping up with all of those games at full price that consistently.
It's almost like people don't want to pay full price for shit games.
Square Enix.
I've heard fine things about Valkyrie Elysium. I also liked Crisis Core.
That was
Star Ocean though. Star Ocean looked pretty bad.
Which is funny because wasn't that one that Josh was keen for when
it was? Yeah,
it was. Yeah, but he didn't get it though. So they can look as cool as it wants, but no one buys it. No one buys it.
Not even Josh.
Look, I'm not going to say when I say don't buy games and release. I'm not saying I'm fully responsible for sinking Square Enix, but
we're also saying you're not responsible for it.
Yeah, I'm just saying everybody should just wake up and not buy games on release.
But to cap off this shit show, Yosuke Matsuda says, look forward to the blockchain games we plan to launch fiscal year 2024 Q3 and thereafter.
Did you actually say that? What a fucking idiot. Those games don't exist.
He actually says that.
Those games aren't real. Those games aren't making you guys money. Anyway, move on. I'm sick of Square Enix. Bored now.
Well,
I'm glad this man is on his way out.
Well, I have a question for you, Steve. You might be sick of Square Enix, but are you sick of the number of hours you put into your Pokemon Scarlet Violet save file?
I think I've put over 100 now, so yes.
Well, what if I told you there was a very easy way for you to have all of the fun of playing through it for the first time again?
Is it a factory reset to the mind?
It's even better. It's an integration with Pokemon Go.
Now I'm gonna say this. There's a big difference between starting it over for the first time and starting it over because your save file is gone and now you have to do it all over again. And you know that you've done it already.
Okay, let's tell the story. So, the newest Scarlet and Violet, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet patch dropped the other day. This integrated connectivity with Pokemon Go, everyone's favorite hit app that everyone's still playing, myself included. But for some reason, I got back into it after the direct. I haven't been leaving my house a bit because I've just been lazy. So I'm like, you know what does make me leave my house? The gamification of things.
My mum's asked me a couple of times about her Pokemon Go. She's got a problem where she's hit the 300 Pokemon max, and they're all unique Pokemon, so she doesn't want to get rid of any, but she also doesn't want to spend money to get more storage space.
You can put your Pokemon in gyms, and then they'll generate coins, and you can use those coins to buy more space. You don't have to...
True. Interesting.
Yeah. I've never put a single dollar into Pokemon Go. I think my max Pokemon is at like 450, 500, and my max items are at like 1,000. So I'm my one thing for free-to-play games, especially a game like this, you don't have to spend a single dollar on it. But yeah, I don't really think the game tells you that much. I mean, I think the cap is 50 coins a day you can get. And I think upgrading the Pokemon storage is 250 or 300. So just if you can chuck a Pokemon in the gym, leave it for a bit, she'll get it in no time. It's one of those things you've got to go.
All right, I'll get her on that.
Yeah. But anyway, so this new update, in Scarlet and Violet, for whatever reason, is apparently when you're connect to Pokemon Go with a Switch, does some sort of weird gremlin-y thing, and it deletes your save.
Oops. The save gremlins come.
Yeah, and people can't really decide if it's from connecting with Pokemon Go or if it's because they've purchased the DLC and they've downloaded the DLC, and it's like, no, save doesn't exist anymore. There is a Reddit thread that's sort of capturing everything, and it does sort of seem to be a small number of people, but at the same sort of time, one person's
it is a risk.
Yeah, and it's one of those... I'm always sort of skeptical with these type of things because the amount of times it's like a weird autosave because it's always autosaving. There is always that risk that if something happens while you autosave, like if you turn your Switch off or you switch apps or something, the save can be corrupted. So I've always got like the lens on, but then at the same time, it's one of those things. It's not a problem. It didn't happen to me, and then it happens. She was like, "Oh fuck." So I don't know.
I think you guys are missing the real culprit here. So here we have a simple game update that corrupts saves. And what has Nintendo been trying to do for ages? Get people to buy Nintendo Switch Online. What does Nintendo Switch Online have as part of its very limited list of features?
Save deletion?
Okay, well, I was going to say cloud saving, but I mean, you're halfway there. So really what I'm saying is if you're paying money to play online, then you have nothing to worry about. And if you're not paying money, then sucks to be you.
Yeah, look.
Don't you also have to like manually back up the save? So
I think it does automatically. No, I think it does. You can set it to be automatic.
Okay. But I think there's also games that opt out of letting you do cloud saves like Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing, don't fucking thing. Game doesn't want you to have two different accounts on the same fucking Switch for whatever reason. Imagine trying. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah. So if you own Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, I don't know what to say. Don't connect it to
careful
Go.
out there.
Yeah, you might want to. Yeah, just literally. Yeah. There seems to be one of those things that it's like under investigation and no one really knows what's going on. So I don't know, just sort of, I don't know, playing offline mode. I don't fucking know. Don't get too attached to it. Yeah, that's it. That's Scarlet and Violet news.
Yeah, cool. Just before we hit the next one in the list, it's just because that one feeds. It was a related piece of news. Did you guys know that HBO Max is merging with Discovery Plus?
I did not.
Those seem like American words, so no.
Basically, just two streaming services merging. Don't worry, there's a hilarious backstory to all of this. Don't have time to go into it now. The question I have for you: you're familiar with HBO, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
The Walking Dead, Last of Us, Game of Thrones, fucking everything. Right, cool. So
all the good stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So that's on one side, and on the other side you have Discovery. You know, it's Discovery. It's like every fucking documentary, all of that shit ever. What side do you think is going to keep the name? Which side gets to retain the surname, and which side's marrying in?
I think it'll be co-ownership, and it'll become HBO Discovery.
I reckon it'll be Discover HBO. That sounds cool.
What if I told you that they are changing the name to Max? Just Max.
That sounds stupid.
It does sound stupid. Hate that.
So you know how normally when you have brand recognition, you're like, oh, it's that HBO show. Fuck that.
It's that Max show.
I'm not
Never
even
mind
sure
that
if
Max
that's-
is someone's name.
I can't wait to Google the word Max and just get the result that I immediately want. You know, SEO is just perfect for people's first names. Yeah, really quick story, but just what the fuck are you guys doing?
Mistakes and miracles.
Look, as someone who studied marketing,
yeah, go on.
they probably got together in a room, threw out a bunch of ideas, and was like, yeah, I don't know, this one sounds good. And then gave it to the intern, and he was like, yeah, cool, let's do this.
And the intern was named Max, and the intern really had call it HBO Discovery, but it was addressed to Max, so it just said Max, and Max was like, oh, okay, I'll call it Max.
Yeah, or they've given it to the intern. The intern said, let's do this, and then like people signed it off without looking at it. And it got to the CEO, and it's like, oh, okay, cool, this is what the marketing guys want.
And meanwhile, the CEO was too busy eating glue in the corner. He was just like, yeah, just whatever. If it's made it through 18 managers, it's good enough for me.
The CEO was Bobby Kotick.
The CEO was eating eating out of Bobby Kotick's special glue stash.
Jesus.
Oh no, not the jar.
Oh, yeah, boo. Boo,
Bobby
no jar comment.
Kotick's special occasion glue. It's like in a bowl.
No jar comment. No jar comment.
And he sings his special glue song while in between mouthfuls. I'm gonna finish the analogy here, but fuck, that's that. God, I really hope large corporations in America are like do business with each other this way. This seems optimal to me. Anyway, back to more gamer central news. Saif, you've played Dragon Ball Z: The Breakers for some fucking reason. Why don't you handle this Dragon Ball Z news for us?
Yeah, sure. So there was a Dragon Ball Battle Hour that went on recently where they get all the competitive aspects of the Dragon Ball community together. They get Dragon Ball fighters doing a tournament, and for some reason, the Dragon Ball Super card game and Dragon Ball Legends, the mobile game. And
did they have Dragon Ball Z: The Breakers?
They do not. There's no competitive scene for that. I don't think you can make a competitive scene for a survival game like that.
Hell.
Moving on. One of the biggest announcements that they could have made, and everyone collectively said yes, oh my god, yes, and came in their pants while it was happening. They announced that they're going to be doing a new Budokai Tenkaichi game, and if no one knows what a Budokai Tenkaichi game is, it is basically a 3D arena game that acts like a Dragon Ball simulator. It lets you transform mid-battle. It lets you turn into great apes. It lets you, if you really want to, you can have Yamcha get beaten up by a Mega Shenron. It's got all the works. It's just a fun, stupid game to have, and everyone's happy to see that it's coming back.
Yeah, it should be
Nice.
good. I'm very excited. Can't wait. They did not release any time frames.
They didn't release any information besides showing Goku transforming into Super Saiyan Blue Goku. The teaser trailer artistically looks very nice. It's a very pretty game if that's in engine.
Yeah, let's cut before the horse and all that. It's marketing material.
Yeah, that's why I say hopefully it's in engine. If it's not, I'll be very upset. But no, very, very excited about that.
Thank you. Next.
Wow. Didn't realize Ariana Grande was guest starring on this podcast.
No, it's
an
actually
honor,
me.
I think.
It's actually me. I just changed my voice a bit.
Oh,
See?
wow, that's crazy.
Can you do a Josh impression next?
Nah. Listen to episode 3. I do a Josh impression in that episode.
Do you?
Yeah.
you're so
Go
quick
back
to
and
pull
listen
that one
and
out.
let us know.
Maybe I will next week when I'm not on the podcast. Oh man, I get to go enjoy the comment section. Barren Wasteland, that is. Anyway, next up on the list, we have some Xbox news. Steve, you wanna hit us with this one?
Yeah, I guess so. That game that came out last year, Sifu, the favorite, I believe it was some sort of weird fighting game that had like a time element, like it was a roguelike. I don't really know. I was very interested in it. But it's coming to Xbox. Yay! It's been out everywhere for pretty much 12 months, and now it's coming to Xbox, baby. Thank you for beta testing,
It's also
everybody.
coming to Steam, which means it's coming to PC finally.
No, it's been on the Epic Game Store for a year, man.
It's coming to PC finally.
yeah, I agree with Seth. I don't know what the fuck you're on about, Steve.
How'd you play Borderlands, Pat?
How'd you play Shut the Fuck Up, Steve?
The console wars still exist even on PC. You've got one fucking console, and Epic's alright.
We can split the market. Steam and not Steam.
Yeah, but you see, much like how Seth and I deal with Neon White times, we can pretend to split the market, but really we know who's going to come out on top.
Sifu, Xbox gamers. Thanks for beta testing, everybody. But yeah, comes out March 28th. It's a shame that it doesn't seem to be coming out on Game Pass, so I will not be purchasing this, but I will have it on my radar when it does.
When it's 70% off.
There are so many fucking games. So many games out there that I've purchased and are on Game Pass. I don't need to buy another game again. And I don't think I will. Yes, that's me, baby.
I know that feeling.
Too many games.
I don't even have Game Pass and I know that feeling.
There are too many games. Please eliminate all of them.
Square Enix should go back to releasing one game a year.
You know, you don't have to play every Square Enix game. Just play the good one.
I did. Stranger of Paradise.
As soon as Square Enix stopped releasing games about squares, I lost interest.
I preferred it when they were making games about Enixes.
That was a pretty good arc, actually. Yeah, no, there were some real bangers in that one.
I liked when they tried a movie and it failed and almost bankrupted them.
That's a good game.
They should have put multiplayer in the movie. It seems pretty obvious.
Blockchain. Now this is Square Enix, not EA. They were going to do a blockchain.
That's so much worse. I hope they get bankrupted. Anyway, speaking of other things that are so much worse, well, I guess it's more like the second deja vu moment. I know that we've talked about how Telltale isn't actually dead because The Wolf Among Us 2 is coming out, but it's still always surprising to me to see that Telltale is releasing a game.
Yeah, like The Wolf Among Us.
Aren't they like a shell of their former self? Like, it's not even Telltale, it's...
Yeah, it's like they're releasing a game? Cool, how? Literally how?
Well, because they went bankrupt during The Walking Dead, the final season. And then, like, the charity of another studio was like, you know what? Fucking finish the game. They're very good. Finish them.
And then Telltale was like, you're right. We will take that charity. Thank you so much for setting a good example. And we're not going to pay any of our developers.
Yeah, and then, well, yeah, so The Wolf Among Us, like, debuted, like, what, last year, the year before or something? Like, at E3 or something? And then it's sort of been like, no, it'll come out.
You mean the debut for the second one? Like, The Wolf Among Us 1 is like, yeah, like crazy old now.
Yeah, 2013, 2014. It's very fucking good. I like that sort of Fables universe that hasn't really been explored before. Well, not in any media that I'm aware of. But yeah, so 2024 when it's supposed to be coming out. So yeah.
Yeah, it's
everyone's been waiting a long time for this game. It's just got to wait a little bit longer.
Hang on.
Yeah, and again, every time a studio comes out and says this, like, it's good. We should applaud this action. Like, they even talk about in the article. I've done crunch. I don't want to do it again. It's not fair, and it's not fair to ask it. Yes, correct. If we put this game out and it's not ready, we're going to get torn to shreds. Also correct. Not just because it's about a wolf, but actually a wolf in Among Us.
Hang on, this seems a bit sus. Sussy bucka, some might say.
Oh, okay. No, people stopped saying that one. Anyway, yeah. Game. So we don't have a fixed release date for when it's being pushed back to, but it is no longer 2023, which, wasn't really on my radar. But
it was on mine. I really like the first one. I think the first one's fucking fantastic. But the way the first one ended, you don't really need a second one. So
right,
yeah.
Which is weird because I've been hearing for years people wanting a second one so badly.
People just want more to say wanting more.
Yeah, but people are stupid, Seth.
Yeah.
Did you know that? Did you know that of like you can take any group of 3 people, all 3 of them will say they're intelligent, but one of them is a fucking moron.
Is it me? Am I the moron?
Do you think you're smart?
No. Is this a trick question?
The pause. No. The pause. Calculating every possibility. Anyway,
I'm going to lock in no as my final answer.
Next up on the list, it ain't just X-Bros eating good. PS5 finally getting the long-awaited Discord update, as well as VRR for 1440p. Have you? This is out now, right?
This is out now.
Yeah, have you had a chance to try it at all, Seth? I haven't.
No, I don't plan to. I literally put this on the docket for one reason and one reason only. They did a PlayStation blog article where they interviewed one of the leads for why this update happened, and she specifically said it's because of Final Fantasy 14. I got it onto the news docket again.
Man cannot be stopped.
They literally got this feature to come out faster on PlayStation because they wanted Final Fantasy 14 PlayStation community to have easier voice chat because Discord is a #1 voice chat program for people to use.
Yeah, fair enough. I've been getting smacked with the what's new in Discord update, and they all mention it. But yeah, no, I don't really play with people on PlayStation that much, and this probably won't change that so much for me. But I'm glad someone's using it.
Yeah, no, I won't be using it from my PlayStation because even when I do play on PlayStation, I'm right next to my computer, and the microphone's right in front of me, so I can just log in through there, no problem. But
that's okay, Saif. I'll be using it from your PlayStation.
But I know people who will be using it from their PlayStations to have an easier time, and it's appreciated as there for them, so they don't have to use their mobile phones.
But as Blizzard taught us, everyone has phones.
Yeah, but not everyone wants to use them.
Yeah, it's true. Just look at Nintendo.
Nintendo's fucking way to do voice chat on Switch was so stupid. Remember those Splatoon connectors they made?
Yeah, it was fucking dumb. Now you've got like an app or something you got to go through.
Yeah.
I want it to be called a slur over Smash Brothers. Fucking hell. It's the hardest thing to do.
If you want to be called slur over Smash Brothers, play Joker. Play any DLC character.
Joker's not in... Joker is in Persona 5 character. There we go. Okay. I thought you meant Society guy. Not...
Mr. Society.
If you want to get very technical, Persona 5 Joker is a Society guy.
He's anime Society guy.
You know what? Fair. You're right.
Cool. Glad we got that figured out. Anyway, actually, I think... Did we touch on this last week? Just because it came up again this week. Someone reminded me. Minecraft Steve being banned at Smash events.
I think we touched on that last week, but also it's just very funny.
It is just very funny. Right, anyway. Next up on the list, Steve, we have an Xbox Game Showcase I'm sure you're dying to tell us about.
Yeah, Xbox Game Showcase, baby! So this pretty much just seems like it's going to be what they're doing for E3. So they've got like, they call it a game showcase, call it an E3 presentation, call it whatever you want. But it's set for June the 11th. There's no information about it apart from that. And then they've also got a Starfield Direct, which once again, they are plagiarized the Nintendo Direct. Everybody seems to be doing that. But that's set to be, I can't really tell if it's straight after this or the day after or...
Well, I mean, E3 is like a multi-day thing, right? So presumably within a day or two.
No, I meant like, yeah. Right. No, so it looks like the Starfield Direct is to happen straight after the game Direct.
Maybe this is a little bit bold of me, but I predict that Starfield Direct will be within at least a month of the Xbox Game Showcase.
I'll be even bolder. I'll say it's within a 24-hour span of time. Yeah,
it literally seems like they'll do one thing and then I'll be like...
The fuck is this the Price is Right to you? The fuck is this?
Well, it says the showcase
The Price is Right to me yet last week.
Yeah, that was funny.
The wording in the article is the showcase will be immediately followed by the just announced Starfield Direct.
Right, but the Webster Dictionary defines immediately as...
and they also gave Starfield a release date as well to September the 6th, which is a bit unfortunate because they always said it was going to be the first half of 2023. Well, we actually said it was supposed to be last year, but here we are. So I guess it will come when it's come.
And as we always say on this podcast, more time is always appreciated.
Back in the oven, my friend, because a burnt game is better than a raw
salmonella.
Game. Yep, a raw game will give you salmon of the Ella.
There is a caveat here, which is that like half of the fun of any Bethesda game is how shitty it launches with all the fun features and bugs. So do we think
but we don't want
it
crashing the console, or do we?
Details. The question is, do we think they're going to spend more time fixing the bugs or adding funnier ones?
They're not bugs, they're features. I'm telling you, big fella. They just probably don't want it to brick your console.
They don't want it to gain sentience and execute you.
I like a bricked console as much as the next person. I just don't want it to be my console.
So what you're saying is they should release a PlayStation version and make that exclusively brick consoles?
Yes, it's only going to brick your console.
No. What he's saying is that it should integrate with Pokemon Go.
Oh, yeah, delete your save. There's a lot of Pokemon you got there. Whoops, see you later. Some you can only get for a certain limited amount of time. Deleted. Yeah. But
hey, all I'm saying, good ad for Nintendo Switch Online.
they're not having it anyway. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Starfield. It is supposed to be the Xbox game of the year. I don't know. Always manage your expectations, friends. Just like Cyberpunk, right? But yeah, that comes out later this year. We will be playing that day one, but only because it's on Game Pass. It's only on Game Pass.
Don't lie, you would have played that anyway.
I would have played it, but I wouldn't have gotten it on release.
Still heard about Fallout 4?
Just very heard about Fallout 4. I never will stop hearing about Fallout 4. But yeah, moving on.
Cool. While moving on, I don't. What the fuck even is this? Deca Police Level 5 Vision.
I can quickly go through this.
Please.
Okay, so Level 5 did a showcase where they showed off 5 of their games that are coming out soon. I'm just going to quickly list off that. They showed Girl Who Steals Time.
Did 5 games.
No,
yeah,
he said it. He said it, Steve. He said it. Fuck.
You've been saying next up on the list this entire time.
Yeah, but when I do it, it's cute.
Right, so 3 games that I'm just going to mention the names of and not elaborate on any further. Girl Who Steals Time, Professor Layton, and Inazuma 11 all got a little bit more showcase. Now, the ones I'm going to spend a little bit of time on,
I do just
very
love
brief.
I do enjoy the back-to-back of something that doesn't get any context. The Girl Who Steals Time. Something that does get context. I don't know. A girl stealing time seems like it should have context, but no, please. Go on to the two that you are going to touch on.
Yeah, so Deca Police is a new RPG being made by Level 5 where you play as a detective and the main character's name is Harvard Marks. I don't know why, but I absolutely love that name. And that's literally all I wanted to spend on that game. His name being Harvard Marks is so fucking good.
Having a name like Harvard Marks, I think he's a body cam turns off kind of guy.
Hello.
But no, the teaser trailer they showed is pretty interesting. There's like a mix between real world crime solving and going into a digital world. And not so interesting, in a digital world, everyone becomes furries. So, might need to wait on this one.
So something about the way you introduced that of real world crime solving. It's like this game actually lets you help the real police solve crime.
There's no crimes if there's no evidence.
It's true.
And the other game I wanted to just touch a little bit on is Megaten Musashi Wired, coming to PS5, PS4, Switch, and PC. This is a game that you can play. There's like 3v3 multiplayer in it. It's got crossplay, so all people across all the consoles can play together. And it's a really cool looking build your own mech sort of game with collaborations for Mazinger Z and Get a Robot. And I don't know, it just looks really fun. Check out the teaser trailer if you want to see it yourself, because
I think is this one that we touched on briefly at some point? Because this one is more familiar to me than Deca Police.
I don't think so. This feels like the first time I've seen this game.
Maybe it's just me getting excited for the next Armored Core game. Maybe
I think we've covered a few mecha games before, and after a little bit, they kind of blend together.
How dare you?
But no, this being like a co-op, like arena brawler game is really interesting to me, and the added bonus of you can customize and build your own mechs and make them however you want. Is an added layer of enjoyment for me. So we'll keep an eye on that. I don't know if I'll ever bring it up again, though.
Something that will be first of all, we good to move on?
We are good to move on.
Cool. Something that will continuously be brought up again and again. Exoprimal, oh my fucking god.
Yeah.
It has a release date, July 14th, and bittersweet news, an open beta set for next week when I am not here.
Yeah, in a week from now, because this is going to go off US time zones. So yeah, True. 7 days from now, it's going to be up. I will be playing that.
This guy.
Unfortunate news, it fell into the Battle Pass trap.
True, that's right. Yes.
All games have a Battle Pass now. Mandatory.
God, Patrick, what are we going to do if the next Monster Hunter has a Battle Pass?
Then maybe I finally get my Golden Almudron Orb at the end of a Battle Pass reward rather than percent chance. So I don't know, I'm kind of on board with that
Realistically, it might help Monster Hunter, to be honest. It's time spent, not random.
I don't think Monster Hunter needs help when it's selling over 10 million units a game.
No, So that system they fixed in Monster Hunter World, where you playing for long enough gives you a ticket that you can just redeem for a particularly high prized jewel like that.
Neat.
Yeah. And they actually improved it further in, so that ticket was based as a
yes, that ticket is like based.
Yeah, true. But it was a very low % chance, but I think it was like you didn't have to do anything. It was just a very low % chance from the coal rewards machine in Iceborne. But they've made it better in Sunbreak specifically, because now it is a function of how much you play. Because if you do anomaly hunts, then you get anomaly tickets, and you can trade anomaly tickets for a whole bunch of stuff, including, if you have enough of them, a particular orb or gem or plate or something, if you want to just get it that way. So yeah, the system is already fixed and working as intended, but the idea of a battle pass for Monster Hunter is very funny, but Jesus Christ, Capcom, please never do it.
Yeah, they need to avoid that as much as possible. I think it would actively turn people off the game.
It would. Maybe not me, but like I wouldn't enjoy it as much while I put 600 hours into it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're already grinding a lot in that game. Adding a battle pass just makes the grinding more obvious, I feel.
Yeah. Anyway, Steve, are you going to be participating in Exoprimal's open beta? Don't worry, it's free.
I do like it's free, and
that game will also be day one Game Pass.
It is, yeah. It doesn't seem like my type of game.
It's got dinosaurs in it. Come on, man.
It has a Mecha Virgil.
I don't know what any of those words mean. Do I have to sign up or something? If it's literally not press a button and I'm in, it might be.
I think it's literally just press a button and you're in. And if you want the extra bonus rewards, then you sign into the Capcom ID to do a survey.
A survey? Fucking hell! You know what? Let's do it. I'll do it.
If you want to be certain, Steve, you just have to give me the 12 digits on your credit card and the 4 and the 3 numbers on the back, and I'll make sure that you're in.
Oh, cool. Yeah, man, I'll send it to you after this.
Yeah, sweet. Next up on the list, we have Ghost Trick Phantom Detective. I know nothing about this.
I'll take over
this?
then.
Please.
This is just a quick, neat one. Ghost Trick Phantom Detective got its launch date announced for June 30th. It's going to be coming out for $30 on basically every platform. And this is a murder mystery game that was made by the people that did the main writers and directors of the Ace Attorney games. So I'm very interested in this game.
Oh, that's why it's in here.
Yeah. Also because it's just Capcom in general.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. But no, it looks really neat. I'll be getting it. And yeah, just want to let everyone know what the release date was since they just announced that.
Cool. And rounding out the trio of Capcom news, RE4 Remake has a demo available.
I've seen people play it. I haven't gotten a chance to play it yet. The demo dropped immediately after the Capcom showcase happened, and it looks fantastic. Everyone's popping off because Leon's keeping all of his really corny lines, like right at the end of the demo, all of the zombies leave the town and just start heading in one direction together. And Leon does a one-liner of, "Where's everyone going? Bingo?" And just really corny lines like that get people excited because it means the soul of Resident Evil 4 is still in here.
Excellent. Good. And finally, the last thing on the news docket for this week, the final Super Mario Bros. Movie trailer, given that is now 2 weeks? What are we, 3 weeks away? 3 weeks away? Just about.
Yeah, 3 weeks.
Less than a month.
Remember, the release date falls on my birthday.
When's your birthday again?
You're a fucking idiot. When's the release date of this?
On your birthday.
Well, the release date for this is April 7th, obviously, but I don't know why I would know that otherwise.
Oh, I swear it was supposed to come out April 6th. Huh. Maybe it's April. Oh, well, I fucking made a fool of myself.
You feel good about that?
Nope.
Hey, at this point, I think you would save yourself some of the embarrassment if you just legally changed your birthday.
You know what? Falls on Easter Thursday at the moment, and I don't like sharing my birthday with Jesus, so I'll move it to the next day. What happens after Easter Thursday? Nothing.
Easter
nothing
Friday.
I love
Good
the
Friday.
idea of...
nothing happens on that. It's Good Friday because it's my birthday.
True.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
we did. We really did. Yeah. Well, what are people's thoughts? Are they going to go? Has this swayed them into or out of seeing the movie?
I was already going to be seeing the movie anyway. This looks fine. I like the Luma in this as
Mario Kart.
I like the Luma as very nihilistic.
Look, it's just Mario Kart. It's literally that's like shot for shot Rainbow Road, which is cool. I appreciate those homages.
So let me guess, because the movie isn't coming to Game Pass day one, you're not going to pay to see it.
I don't really like paying for movies; they're so expensive.
He's not wrong. Movies are expensive.
There we go.
You take that back. You take that back right fucking now.
It's like $30, $50 if you want to get popcorn.
I don't like popcorn. There you go. That's my hot take for the day. But yeah, look, I regardless of what people feel about Chris Pratt, I still think it's going to be a fine movie. People just don't like him because he's not going to be Italian, which is inherently a little bit racist. He doesn't need to be Italian just because he's from Brooklyn.
No, he just sounds very flat.
In the 1 minute total of voice work, it's a long movie. Let's let the man cook, as they say in the Biden-Trump memes.
But okay. To be fair, let's say he's got about a minute of voice lines we've heard. We've also had about a minute of Jack Black as Bowser, and he's absolutely killing it.
Oh man,
Jack Black could have like no voice lines and he'd fucking kill it. Like he's a good actor. And so
Chris Pratt is a fine actor at times. And so I just feel he's not bringing his A game to this movie from the 1 minute.
He likes stomping Goombas.
No,
that was cringe. Oh, that was the most cringe thing in the entire world. I wish they hadn't done that. Yeah.
Mushroom Kingdom, here we go.
Yeah, and I hate how it's an isekai as well. Everything's a fucking isekai these days. I don't know what's going on.
To be fair, that is playing into the Mario story of it originally being an isekai.
It's
been an
anymore.
isekai since the 80s.
Doesn't make it right. Anyway.
Well, some would say that, given that we are no longer in the 80s, or even the 90s, or even the 20s, or even the 2010s, actually, that we could shift it up. We could change the formula. We could be better. But no, that's fine. No, just make it an isekai. No, it's fine.
But why be better when we can be safe?
Literally every movie producer the past 30 years.
Why do new thing when old things sell?
So true. So true. I will likely end up seeing this in theaters. Yeah, it seems fine.
I like that the trailer showed Donkey Kong with the fire flower power up, and immediately it started trending fire Donkey Kong like he was getting fired from Nintendo.
Oh, that's good. That's excellent. Right, yeah. Anything more from either of you on this, or do we wrap it up?
Nah, wrap it up.
I think it's time to wrap it up.
Wrap it up we shall. Well, that means we are at the end of the new section, and therefore at the end of episode 63. I'm not going to tease what I'm up to next week because I won't be here.
You've been teasing it this entire time. It's that you will not be here.
Okay, let's try not to make that the selling point, okay? Like, people have listened this long. I'm expecting they're crying. There's probably, like, tissues everywhere. Let's not try and turn this into something it's not, all right, Saif?
Steven, I need you to calm down.
I'm telling you, big fella. I'm telling you. We're on our renaissance.
What?
I don't know. I'm just saying words, yeah.
Where was the initial naissance for there to be a renaissance?
We're exiting the Silver Age and going into the Renaissance. Actually, what is the Disney Ages?
We're not doing... Okay, skip. We're not doing Disney Ages. We're like... The era of Pat is over. The era of Steven has begun.
The era of Orc has just begun. Excellent.
No, it was the Bronze Age before the Renaissance era.
It was the didn't ask of the era.
Yeah, I can see why this is a Bronze Age. Oh, there's some stinkers in here.
We can't see what you're looking at, big fella. Cut us out, Pat. Cut us out.
I'm already loving the will they won't they chemistry, which you, the lovely listener, can look forward to for the next couple of weeks while I gallivant off in a different time zone. Well, different time zone. I'm already in a different time zone. I'm differenter again. Anyway, Thank you so much for listening to episode 63. If you've enjoyed this, a like, a subscription, a follow, however you can show your support on your preferred podcast platform of choice really helps us out. But at least until the next episode, I've been Patrick. You've been listening to Fast Travel Lounge episode 63, joined by Saif and Steve, and we'll catch you next time. Goodbye.
Happy birthday, Mario!